from this: how to test a new Bible before you buy. When the Christian bookstore clerk hands you a new Bible to purchase, what should you look for? Normally we just assume the text is okay and focus on the helps, price, and binding. Does it have a concordance? Does it have center references? Is it highlighted for specific study courses? Is it designed for a specific purpose, such as a kids, teens, soul winners, or study Bible? Is it in my price range? Today that's not enough. Just because it is the same Bible as what our pastor uses, it matches our Sunday school lessons, or it's recommended by our church or denomination, it doesn't make it a safe book to really know what God said. Modern technology has given us a much deeper look into the history of the Bible text behind that Bible handed to you over the bookstore counter. It's not enough to just trust the scholars and take the Bible home if the price is right. Here is what else you should ask before you purchase. Number 1, is Acts chapter 8 verse 37 missing? This is a handy verse to show that Protestants and Catholics that infant baptism won't work. Number 2, is there a footnote suggesting that Mark chapter 16 verse 9 through 20 is not in the oldest and best manuscripts? Then how could I know if Jesus really rose from the dead? Number 3, does 1 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 18 tell you that you are just being saved or safely saved? Number 4, does it have some strange books like Tobit, Maccabees, Esdras, Shepherd of Hermas, etc.? Number 5, does John 3:16 show that Jesus was just an only son, or the only begotten Son? If begotten is not there, how is Jesus different from the sons of God in John chapter 1 verse 12? Number 6, is Jesus in Acts chapter 3 verse 26 a servant instead of a son? Number 7, is the path beyond the narrow gate in Matthew chapter 7 verse 14 a difficult path instead of just a narrow one? And number 8, does 1 John chapter 5 verse 7 omit the Trinity? If yes is the answer to any of these questions, that Bible has a questionable history. Creators of that translation have used source documents, manuscripts, that contain contradictions and omissions. Hello. Sometimes we act like Matthew and John just wrote out the Bible in English. Fact is, there's a lot of history in the 2,000 years since Jesus walked in Galilee. Several languages are involved over the centuries. When we buy a used car, we want to know the history, i.e. the Carfax, so to say. If the original owner was a little old lady from Pasadena, we trust the quality more than if it was owned by a hot rod enthusiast. Why should we not also be interested in the history of our Bible? Researcher David W. Daniels has spent several years using current investigative tools to dig out new information about the history of our Bibles. One finding is that there are two streams of manuscripts in Bible history, and they are hugely different. One has 2,000 years of a steady, traceable series of copies of the Bible in well-known historical languages. The other comes from hands of questionable characters with no verifiable history before 1800. Daniels published a book Look What's Missing in 2013, listing over 240 missing words and verses in the modern Bibles. Another Daniel's book titled, Did the Catholic Church Give Us the Bible? That lists hundreds of problems with the two streams of Bible history. Anyone who does not perform due diligence before buying the next Bible risks reading a book that shifts meanings away from God's true word, or God's inherent word. Any pastor or teacher who does not research this issue also risks guiding people to a defective book gutted out of the true power of God's word. Other resources by Daniels include dozens of YouTube videos and other books titled Why They Changed the Bible in 2014 and Did Jesus Use the Septuagint, spelled Septuagint, written in 2017, this year, the year this video was made. And they're explaining the details of this danger. So yeah, if you're at a regular bookstore or at a Christian bookstore, or if your church has a bookstore, it's something to strongly consider when buying a new Bible.